with Mrs. Noel-Branker, and she's also the Assistant Director of Clinical Services at Elder and Associates. And we're going to talk about diversity in the workplace and why it's important.
Yes.
Correct?
Correct.
All right. So first off, let's start off with what holistically is diversity in the workplace.
Okay, so basically, diversity in the workplace means having a workforce that is inclusive of persons of different nationalities, genders, socioeconomic status, persons who bring different talents to a workplace.
Okay.
Yeah. So we could say that most of our workspaces are diverse workspaces. Yeah. But when we talk about diversity, we want to ensure that persons feel not just that they're employed, but they're part of the organization as well. So being able to feel engaged, feel included in the runnings and the decision makings of an organization makes more of a robust, forward an organization to say that they are diverse.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what about okay, in terms of how important it is, especially in a society like us, because we made up, I think our makeup is just like the United States of America,
Yeah.
where you have different people, different cultural backgrounds.
Correct.
Right. So does it necessarily lead to more productivity?
Actually, it does.
Enough some in Trinidad will differ here, because productivity has been a problem.
Well, productivity is relative.
Okay, all right.
Right? Because the productivity level for one organization may not be the productivity level that another organization sets for itself. For example, somebody's productivity level could mean ensuring that they reach X amount of sales for a particular week or a particular month versus another organization whose productivity means that, we come up with a different product, we come up with a different idea in order to push our organization forward. So productivity is relative to the individual organization, but having a diverse population in your organization leads to higher productivity, more innovation, more ideas, and a further reach for that particular organization.
I find that I had a debate that way, because we've been hearing about, especially in the public service. Let's say the public service.
Okay.
The public service seems to struggle with that productivity, that level of productivity that the private sector has. And I've seen where the private sector apparently outperforms the public sector, despite the public sector probably having more resources.
That is to be assessed further, I guess, because from an outside perspective, it really and truly does look like the private sector is outperforming the public sector. And it could just be a difference in, again, organizational structure, organizational output, what the goals of the organization are, because that's what separates a productive organization from a non-productive. It's like, are we meeting the goals that we as an organization have set for ourselves? Are our team meeting the goals that have been set for them? And if they have not been meeting those goals, then how do we, kind of go back to the drawing board and make changes that will now ensure that we meet the goals that we set for ourselves? It also takes a different mindset in approaching those goals. So whereas you may have persons and organizations in the private sector who are data-driven, who are, more innovative in their technologies, in the things that they do, the public sector may just have to kind of revisit their approaches and then make necessary adjustments in order to meet their particular level of productivity.
So that's more of a structural thing than a diversity issue.
Yeah, but part of structure is ensuring that you have a diverse population that could move the plans forward. So if you make plans but you don't have the populace to move that forward. You don't have the persons who with the ideas, you don't have persons with the foresight to move it forward. Then you're just going to be spinning top in mud.
Top in mud. Okay, what about the issue now? While we talk about diversity in the workplace, we're talking about, all right, we're talking about many different things here. We're talking ethnicity, we're talking gender, we're talking sexual orientation, we're talking many different things here because all as the world exists today, whether people like it or not, right? There are people of that have different positions about different things, right?
Correct.
We will always have people that coming from different ethnic backgrounds. So how do you deal with issues that may come up or exist within the diversity of that business? Because you're going to have people who have problems with it. You can't get away from that. When those problems occur, it could hurt the productive side of the business. So how does one deal with that? What are some of the things that they need to implement in dealing with that?
Well, first and foremost, it takes a very delicate but yet firm organizational position to establish a level of respect, accountability, and transparency within an organization that makes people of the different diverse backgrounds feel included in their workspace. It also means that you have to respect persons' differences in their workspace. Just because somebody's ethnic background may be different, their cultural background may be different, even from where they live, their location, that may even make people feel as though, okay, well, I can't talk to this person, I can trust this person because they're from a different, location. It happens.
That happens, yeah.
If an organization is savvy enough, they can use all these tools to incorporate and help their employees and their business just flourish, because even though someone may have a different ethnic background, a cultural belief system, they may have a talent that is necessary for that organization to to take off. And if it is being deflected and sidetracked because somebody doesn't like your hair, somebody doesn't like your speech, then you're losing the essence of having that person in your organization. So organizations have to be very much aware that they have to put things in place, they have to put systems, they have to put structures in place to ensure that persons feel like they can contribute without feeling disrespected, without feeling like they're sidelined, without feeling as though they're not included as part of the overall population.
No. What about people with physical abilities and disabilities? Physical abilities and disabilities, because one of the things that happens across, I guess, in all parts of the world. You have people who end up injured on the job, they end up on a disability check. In some instances, or most instances, you hear, well, they can't work again. But in my experience, the disability check cannot compensate for the shortfall of that salary that they were once earning. So maybe they have a different skill set that does not require them to
be physically
right.
Correct.
So how should an employer approach something like that? Because that's the other thing. Let me just add in something here. A lot of the times, like you said, location as well. So a lot of the times people aren't hired on merit and based on their qualifications, but more so their current situation and their background. So I have seen videos where people from Beetham Gardens and people from Laventille City, they had to put a different address on the application, right? Because if they only put Laventille or Beetham, they're not going to get hired. So okay, how do employers, from an employer's side here, what is the approach?
From the employer's side, is you have to shift your perspective. You have to give persons an equal opportunity to earn, to contribute. So remember, being part of a diverse population or having an organization that has a diverse population means that you have to look past the surface where persons are from, what they look like, and dig deeper into what they bring and what they can offer to the organization. Because if you're from East Port of Spain, but you have a talent where you can create an app, you can do things that might be necessary for this particular business. So it's about looking at persons' talents, either hidden or or developing talents, and ask yourself, does this align to my organization? Because sometimes employers and the persons in charge, they need to look at what is needed, what are the needs of the organization versus what it looks like.
Right.
So it has to be what can drive the organization forward, and sometimes that means putting yourself out there and taking risks. That's what organizations do. That's what makes the most successful organizations successful, is that they take risk. They take risk on people. They see somebody who has potential and they say, you know what, this can work. And they provide the tools, they provide the development, they provide the mentorship in order for that person to excel. And even with persons with disabilities, and disabilities range from the physical disabilities to unseen disabilities. So persons may have, problems with their eyesight. That is sometimes labeled a disability.
A disability, yeah.
Yeah, so not all disabilities are seen.
Correct.
So you do have to ensure that your organization provides the resources for that person to work well, for that person to earn, because earning is tied into our identity.
Correct.
And if we feel as though we're contributing, we feel more enthused, we feel that our potential to, just to be a better person, that improves our overall well-being. And when your overall well-being as an individual improves, it then adds that to your organization. So you go to work feeling more competent, you go to work feeling more, engaged, and that basically it translates into production and productivity and success for the organization. So to go back to your question, employers have to take a risk in order to ensure that they are creating a diverse population for their business to move forward.
Okay. Because the other aspect of that that I want to find out about too. The language barriers, all right? Now, Trinidad and Tobago is predominantly English speaking. There are a few people that speak other languages here. Some people have made certain languages their second language. We have an influx of Venezuelans that have been here for a while. They are taking up jobs as well. A lot of them are very skilled.
Correct.
I will give them that. They do work extremely hard. They're workhorses because they come from that sort of environment and culture, right? Like we say, culture has a lot to do with it too. And culture goes beyond carnival and steel pan and everything else.
Correct.
Culture is a way of thinking. It's a mentality. So they come from a particular culture, a particular mindset. So they know when they go to work, they come out to work, right? It's like when Trinidadian people, as lazy as they are here, when they migrate and they go to the United States of America, there's no laziness in them, They walk in, jobs that they wouldn't take here, they will take it outside, right? But the language barrier could be or pose some level of difficulty within a workplace. So what do you do there?
So in that case, where communication is necessary for the day-to-day runnings of an organization, if you're employing persons who speak a different language, then the onus is on the employer to ensure that they either have someone who speaks the language or understands the language, or hire a translator. We could hire translators, because just because a person
There's a cost to the business.
There's persons in the public service that do translations.
Right.
So it's the same thing as if you have an employee who is deaf. You can hire someone who knows sign language, and you can even offer that as part of your training for your staff to learn sign language so they can communicate with their colleague. They can learn Spanish. They can learn some other aspect and communication skill in order to speak with their colleague. Because when we have barriers of language, whether it be spoken language or sign language, you find ways around it. You just don't toss that person to the side or say, well, we can't. No, you find ways. And that's what being diverse means. It's that you find ways to ensure that your organization, your employees are getting the best resources in order to help them be productive.
And the other two things that I want to touch on as well, when we talk diversity, the two most controversial things in the world, religion and politics. So we know people have their religious beliefs.
Yes.
We know people have political beliefs or positions.
Correct.
And sometimes those beliefs within a diverse workforce, those beliefs can cause, well, for lack of wanting to use the word arguments, I will use debates or discussions, but it could get heated at times, and because of that, some people may not want to work with other people.
Correct.
Because they just want to work with somebody
Yeah.
who don't believe in God.
Yes.
Or you know what I mean? Or somebody who supports one political party as opposed to the one that they, and it does cause friction within the workplace and things of that nature. But what can you do about that? That's just part of
It's part of life.
Yeah.
I mean, I know, the saying goes, the best way to end a party is to talk about politics or religion. And we don't want that to be the cause of hindrances and obstacles in our workplace. Is that because you have a particular belief system or a particular affiliation that you can't work with somebody because of that? That is a personal choice. That is a personal belief system.
Right.
That should not affect how a person works, because their skill, their talent has nothing to do with their religion. It has nothing to do with their political affiliation.
exactly whatever that belief might
Whatever
be.
that belief may
look,
be. Once they are there and they are doing their job and they're doing it to the best of their ability, that is what should be, rewarded. That should be, part of the inclusive dynamic of the organization. When we leave and go home, that's a different thing. But when we're in our particular workspace, which is a place that we share the majority of the time with persons, we have to put things aside. We have to be able to shift perspective. We have to be able to be tolerant. One of our watchwords is tolerance.
Tolerance, yeah. Yeah.
So, and part of tolerance is showing respect. I may not always agree with what you stand for. I may not agree with who you stand with, but I can respect that you as a person, you're bringing something to the table. You're ensuring that your work gets done. You're ensuring that, production moves forward. You're ensuring that we meet our organizational goals. And that is what changes the perspective and shifts organization from using or having diversity as an obstacle to having diversity as a tool of success.
Okay, all right, brilliant. Well, I'll tell you what, anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
Well, I would just like to say, as part of our organization, as an EAP, we offer organizational services to any particular organization, whether it be private or public, who may be struggling to understand how to navigate this world of diverse populations. So if there are any organizations who may be in need of, some direction, some assistance in, just putting things in place and creating structures and creating successful structures, I should say.
Successful
structures. They can reach out to Elder Associates Limited, and we will be glad to help them develop strategies, processes that will allow for their navigation of a healthy and a diverse workplace.
All right, brilliant. So it's Mrs. Abena Noel-Branker, it's Elder and Associates, and diversity in the workplace. If you need any assistance with that, you could go check them out, Elder and Associates, man. So I want to thank you for coming through, talking about, giving us a nice discussion on diversity in the workplace, because I think, the country we live in, you are going to meet people from different backgrounds, different everything, different backgrounds, different religions, different everything.
We are a multi-everything country.
Everything country. And then we have the additional culture that has been added to the pot, that I know a lot of people have issues with, like, you hear people saying, well, Venezuela's taking jobs and things. You hear these things when you have immigrants coming over. A lot of people like, taking the jobs, they're taking the jobs, and they're working for, they're hiring them because they're working for less money than we working for, and this, that, and the other. And sometimes it causes a little static between the two. And I guess at the end of the day, it's survival, because that's what it's about. You want to get a job because you want to get a salary because you're trying to survive. You have to cover your bills and so on and so forth. And it's the same thing for the next individual.
Correct.
You understand what I'm saying? So I guess, we got to learn to get along while working, because you have to respect the person for their skill set.
Correct.
First. And I think that's the overall message, is that you respect the person for their skill set and their competence in that particular position, in handling whatever responsibility, they have. You respect that first, because that's the workplace.
Yeah.
When the bell ring and you leave the workplace, there's a whole different environment there. But once in the workplace, you have to respect the person for their skill set and their ability to get the job done. That comes before anything else. Right? Correct?
Yes, correct.
Nice. So we got to take a break. Remember, you can check Elder and Associates in terms of this particular issue if you have a business.
Yes.
And we will return after this with the PAHO report. And do not forget, we also have the hurricane relief drive that's going on. It starts today, it continues today and tomorrow. Over the weekend, I'll organize a little FundMe TT account where we could get funds donated so that we could send liquid cash up the islands so that they could rebuild. They could get their material and so on and so forth. But we're asking persons to come down to Synergy TV today and tomorrow. I will be here. And any contribution that you have, you drop it off here. The boat is sailing on Saturday. It usually takes about 6 to 7 hours for that boat to get to Grenada. So once it leaves Saturday, the goods will reach up there same day. Also, you have the San Fernando Yacht Club, and the yacht club is located in Vista Bella. And of course, you have a contact number that you can call. Let me just give you the contact number very quickly here before I go to the break. The contact number for the yacht club is 610-2582. That is 610-2582. Make sure give them a call. And if you need directions or whatever the case might be, they'll be happy to assist. But we have the hurricane drive. People, we urge you, come down and contribute because they desperately need it. We'll be back after this.